This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The Colombian Salsa Luis Calderon made a late season debut and impressed by finding victory lane more than just once, besting many big names in the process. After missing the first 3 races this season, Calderon showed up 2 rounds ago, posting a 4th before winning last time out at Laguna Seca. With the waving of today's checkered flag, the first half of the season will be in the books, and thanks to a rule package that allows for quad drop races, the championship is still very much in question. Sonny Ketchen has a pair of victories. DJ Alessadrini and defending champion Robert Hartley join Calderon as single-time winners. Will it be 3 for Ketchen? Will a one-timer get a second? Or maybe it's time for the Greek streak, Ioannis Mobilidis, or Mike the Hamster Dam, to get their first of the season. Find out soon as the Advanced Mazda Cup comes to Wisconsin's Road America for round 6 of the 2019 Spring Season Championship. And you can see all the strength of field action live as it happens right here on the Global SimRacing Channel via the iRacing Esports Network. A Badger State hello and welcome. Joe Peak joins yours truly, Bill Soups on, to bring you our Bird's Eye View. Sean Crackers Ambrose has director duties armed with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Our venue today is called America's National Park of Speed, although these little MX-5s might have a hard time fulfilling the speed portion of that moniker. Joe, tell us a little bit more about today's track.
Absolutely, Bill. And yeah, they might not be getting as fast as a Formula One car or maybe the Camel GT cars around here, but they still are going to get a fair bit of speed. And the big thing is that the long straights offer lots of drafting opportunities. This is almost the epitome of a draft track for these MX-5s, especially because it has some relatively big braking zones at the end of most of those long stretches. So you're going to see a lot of passing if drivers want it. It might be more of a strategic race over this 4-mile circuit. There are 14 turns to worry about, and most of them are roughly 90 degrees, maybe a little bit sharper than that. So it's not really too difficult to get a handle on. It's all down to how you handle that draft race. But to get an idea of what it's like alone and by yourself and getting a decent lap around here, let's head to the GSRC lap guide. All right, we've got Stefan Schlacker in the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Road America. Down the front stretch, this is one of the prime places to use the draft to slipstream by your opponent. You can still try to outbrake them through turn 1, but it's so much easier to pass them on the straight. Plus, the exit of turn 1 can sometimes catch drivers out by clipping the grass and sending them spinning to the opposite wall. From there, you've got a slight downhill into turn 3. This is one of the most important corners on the track because of it leading onto the moraine sweep. You really don't want to overdrive your entry because it'll leave you a sitting duck on the way down to 5. You'll essentially just straighten out the stretch here, so we'll skip this part and jump to the braking for the next corner. Here at 5, the little bit of a kink in the downhill entry makes it very easy to outbrake yourself. In fact, a lot of race-ending accidents happen on the first lap when things get stacked up here. After that, you climb back up towards 6. The crest right at the entry makes it a very narrow margin of error to hit the fast line. Plus, you won't be able to spot your apex until you're pretty committed. That takes us towards turn 7, which is easily flat out in the MX-5, but I still wouldn't advise trying it too wide. Now, as we come through the hurry downs, you've reached turn 8. This offers chances for a sneak attack because of it being a relatively slow corner. If someone is tucked up behind you, keep your guard up. Immediately, you've got to switch sides to set up for the carousel. As in every car, patience is required to not let it drift out into the marbles and dirt. And yet, because the MX-5 isn't that high-powered, squaring off the exit is going to be critical to a good lap. Fail to keep your momentum and everyone's gonna be on the attack. But before you hit the fastest part, you've got to swing through the kink, which is also flat out in the Miata. Just pray that you don't catch traffic and get slowed up. Jumping forwards to the end of the kettle bottoms, the braking for Canada Corner tends to cause accidents through miscommunication or just plain coming in too hot. This is where you finally leave the thick woods and return to the sunshine of Bill Mitchell Bend. The car likes to get squirrely over this blind crest, and you could find yourself with some serious damage if you overcorrect the car. You won't have much time before you're chucking it into the final corner. This is another one where I'd advise not overdriving the entry. The front stretch is the longest straight on the circuit, and it has this crazy steep uphill climb to boot. Every ounce of speed that you can get from the engine of the MX-5 will count. But hopefully, if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Road America.
Joe Peak doing what few do better, take us around a racetrack. Let me take you around the point standings right now. We'll bring those up. Now, keep in mind that these numbers do take into account one of the 4 drop races allowed for in the rules. In other words, it's the driver's best 4 or 5 results. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might notice that Sonny Kenshin has the same point total, that is 686, as he had before last round. That's because GSRC, as stated above, is starting to ease in drop races. So, in effect, Kenshin totals remains the same, but he does now have 80 points in his pocket from the race he was forced to drop. The Greek streak, Ioannis Moumoulidis, well, he's still looking for his first win of the season. He closes the gap by 30 points thanks to the drops. The hamster, Mike Dam, is an even C-note back. Fellow Canadian Mike Payton holds station in 4th. And we remember Phil Collins as Portugal's Marcelo Susu Eusebio as he rounds out the top 5 overlay. All right, with those points out of the way, we're always picking up new viewers, so let's go ahead and take a look at our race details today.
Absolutely. We are now halfway through the season here in round 6, and this is an endurance round for this season. We saw it at Spa before, and now we come over here and have another one at a very similar track, so you can expect one pit stop. The setups on these cars are open, and the incident cap at 17 means that if they go over that, they will be disqualified on the spot. Those points that Bill was going over are the official iRacing points that they use from calculated on the strength of field each week. So it can be different each week how many points they get. It's going to be relatively similar since they tend to have most of the same customers here week in and week out. And Bill, of all the tracks where the pit stop comes into play, the one like this, I think, is really going to affect how this race plays out with the fuel saving you can do in that draft.
Absolutely, and it's a long pit lane as well, so it takes a while to get in and out. It'll be interesting. We don't always have pit stops in every race. These ones are longer. We do. Today, let's go ahead, Joe, take a look at the weather, see how that's going to play in effect.
It's actually really good conditions. It's 74 degrees on the track surface, 71 air temperature, partly cloudy. We've been seeing a bit of clouds come in and out to cover it up. It is somewhat early in the morning, actually, in this session. It's 8 a.m. that these drivers are out running, so it's going to warm up as the race goes on slightly. 10-degree mile-an-hour wind from the southwest, so you can expect the cars to not be pestered by that too greatly. Right now, qualifying's going down, but the long lap time, Bill, they don't have any. Well, now they have qualifying times just now.
As they start to roll in, Sonny Kenshin, early leader sitting on top, Mike Dam in there as well. Good to see Robert Hartley back with us racing. He picked up a win to open the season, haven't seen him since. Remember, there's drop races, so plenty of time for the defending champion to threaten for the crown. David Payton is here.
And I was going to say, we've seen in the past that Hartley is a good measure for Kenshin a lot of times. So I think this is going to make it a little bit tougher for Sonny, especially at a track like this.
And of course, you're watching a GSRC production streaming your way on the iRacing Esports Network. You know, the best in the iRacing World Championship, as well as many top private leagues like the one you're watching right now, are showcased right here on iRacing Esports Network. If you haven't done so yet, why don't you subscribe? GSRC is proud to be part of the IESN stable of broadcasters. More drivers getting in their qualifying time. The Greek streak gets in there. Ioannis Moumoulidis comes in 5th.
And looks like he's not going to take another qualifying time. He must have had an off track or something somewhere. So let's watch Coimbra
Remember, one of the 20 drivers on the grid. The race did split, so we are going to have a very big strength of field here today. It's going to be big points for the winner.
36.75. That is pretty handy. That's higher than my iRating, that's for sure. We're currently working his way up towards the carousel. And this is, it's honestly surprising. They've made these MX-5s so well. This is one of the newer versions of it here on iRacing that they run in. It's got so much lateral grip. It's just a tiny lift, middle of the corner, Bill. Otherwise, it's flat out around there.
Gets those left sides as wide as he can without picking up an off track, working through the kink, now heading down into Canada. Through the shadows, coming up to this right-hander. This is a good passing zone here.
And very few of them are going to be able to get in their second lap. Maybe that's why we're seeing some of these drivers abandon.
All 20 were able to at least put in a time.
And it looks like we're going to lose out on Lee Martin and Justin Goulet, as well as Rui Coimbra and Derek Holland.
Honestly, there are some tracks where qualifying is very important. This is probably not one of them as we're looking at a draft race today. So let's go to the grid right now. On the front row, it is going to be Sonny Catch Me If You Can't, and he's going to be flanked by Mike Dam. Robert Hartley is in third position with David Payton outside of him. Row 3 is populated by Chiquito Ogawa and Ioannis Moulidis, the Greek Streak. 7th and 8th is Andres Bertoni and Clifford Evan. Row 5, George Fike is going to be inside of Kotomiwa. Joe?
Derek Holland's lone lap was able to get him to 11th with Aaron Thacker starting 12th. The next row has Rui Coimbra 13th and Ivan Garcia 14th. Inside of that next row in 15th is Yasuda Shiraiwa with John White starting 16th and Lee Martin 17th. Thomas Miller 18th. The last row is going to be Greg Savoy and Justin Goulet. And there is a decent amount of time between our pole and well, not quite our last. Second to last is a 34. Justin got a 2:44 in, but that's a little bit of an outlier.
Yeah, about a couple seconds between the scene. I don't think lap traffic is going to be an issue here today. 4 miles of tarmac is laid out before our pole sitter, Sonny Catch Me If You Can't. You know, if corner names are of any advantage, you got to think with the corner group being called Canada, that maybe our Maple Leafers, Mike Dam and David Payton might have an advantage as they both hail from up north. And of course, there is the Wisconsin connection to dairy country here, and Greece famous for its yogurt, so that's a bit of a stretch, but I'll let the viewers connect the dots between Road America and Ioannis Moulidis. And now, finally, everybody's on the grid as the commentator still has a little more time to fill. I'll turn over the Snapple bottle. Hey, elephants are the only animals with 4 knees. Thankfully, the engines begin to rev. I can stop filling. Gather up the chickens. Take cover behind the cows. The horses are out of the barn. Sonny Kenshin leads the stampede, and it's a long way down to that first corner. They already get in line. Mike Dam, Hartley, Payton, Moulidis, your top 5, but that may not be how it is when they get to the first corner.
Yeah, they're all going to try and get single file since this is usually a pretty swift one, but you can see there's still a lot of side-by-side racing, and that's going to be bad news because the last thing you want on this first lap, Bill, is to lose touch with the top train.
I think there was a little bit of contact with Coimbra. He loses a few positions. I have to tell you, Yasuda Shiraiwa, the bullet train back there racing with John White for 13th position. Everyone else pretty much single file now. Nope, now they start to spread out.
This turn number 5, very, very popular for passes, and I think we're going to potentially get a change for 4th.
This is the action corner. On the inside is Payton. He drifting wide as Moulidis. He's going to lose all of his momentum. That's going to let Clifford Evan get in there and steal 5th position.
Excellent
Trying to
move
sneak
by
in there as well. Yeah. Ogawa comes in there as well.
Excellent move by Evan. He started this race in 8th. He's now in the top 5. And someone's getting swamped back there. I think that is Chiquito Ogawa.
Oh, and Ogawa is
contact.
Miwa's off in the sand. He got into the back of the Sheriff, Jordy Fike.
Yeah, the car is just kind of squeezed together a little bit. We'll go back to it later, and I think it was just, unfortunately, there's so much going on around you. Sometimes you don't realize that you're going to pressure a car off the track when you're trying to take back to the racing line.
Ogawa continues to drop like a pigeon as he is now down into 10th. Aaron Thacker works his way up into 9th. Up front, let's look at the lead right now. That is Mike Dam right on the back of Canchin.
And we were looking at potentially a 4-car breakaway. Clifford Evan sitting in P5 was fantastic on the brakes into Canada corner, and that's going to keep him within touch. He's trying to shake the 6th-place car of Mumulidis behind him, and so far he's doing a decent job of it.
A tick over 0.8 of a second between Evan and Mumulidis, about maybe 10 car lengths. The Greek streak, though, is fast. He qualified in 6th, should be able to run those guys down, we hope. Andres Bertoni back there in 7th, trying to stay on the back of the Greek driver.
And right now, he's got the biggest gap between Bertoni and Fike back in 8th. It's just a hair over 1 second between them. And you can use the draft a little bit, even from that far back, but it's just not going to be as effective. And you definitely need better pace, raw pace, to run them down at that point.
Tip of the hat to the Canadian Mike Dam in 2nd position. I think he knows that there's no point of going around catching. He's not going to be able to run away from them. But all of this is going to slow them down and let the guys behind catch up. Plus, he's saving a little fuel. There is a pit stop. And Joe, this is a thirsty track. The guys are on the throttle a lot here.
Yeah, you can save a ton of fuel, and Mike Dam is no longer interested in doing that.
Listen to the commentator, likes to prove me wrong. We have a new leader. Even down into 5.
Even still, I'd say these top 4 are pretty much all following exactly like you're saying, where they're not fighting too hard. Dam, Canchin, Hartley, and Payton have been pretty settled down for this first lap and a half.
We talked about Mumulidis and Bertoni back in 6th and 7th. They are in the train now. The caboose is Andres Bertoni.
See him in the blue, black, and white at the tail of it. He's left George Fike behind. It's 2 seconds between them. That's when you get the second train going. That's got Ogawa, Thacker, White, Holland, Shioiwa, Coimbra, Garcia, and Garcia all together, down to 15th place, Bill.
Yeah, often this is the case. The excitement is back here in the second train as we ride on board with the driver in fourth right now, David Payton. Looking back at Clifford Evan.
This is a really good position for Evan to be in here early on. There's a lot of racing still to go. If I was Clifford at this point, I'd just kind of sit back and ride with these guys and not try to cause too many waves so that he could have a chance at a win when it comes down to the last 2 laps.
Poor Jordy Fike is probably faster than the guys he's racing that are behind him, but he just has no chance to get up there. About 2.3 seconds to get to the lead train. The Sheriff needs those guys to start mixing it up in front to slow down that front set. And maybe that's what's going to happen right now. Is Canchin trying to take a look on Dam?
You know, I almost wonder if Canchin and Dam are actually working together, because you can go faster with the right slingshot. Doesn't look like it's working now, unfortunately. But if those two keep swapping back and forth, maybe they can get just enough time to have a 2-car breakaway from this top group.
Yeah, they would very much prefer it to be a 2-car battle than the 7-car battle that it is right now.
In fact, that's what's happening behind them with the second group. Both Fike and Ogawa have managed to get themselves away from White.
So it's now a 2-car battle there for 8th position, or more of a dance with Fike and Ogawa working together, seeing if they can get up to the front guys. That's a great shot right there. You can see him coming. There's Ogawa going to Fike's left, their driver left.
And Fike's actually been getting on the radio, communicating a little bit with Ogawa. So they legitimately actually are trying to, yeah, look at him right here. He's going to come up, give a bump draft. That doesn't do much between 5 and 6, but when they get to the longer straights, that can definitely stretch you away.
3.4 seconds. So those guys have 2 objectives in mind: to catch the lead train and lead the guys that are behind them behind. That is John White in 10th.
Fortunately, they didn't play it well enough, and White has caught back up to them. In fact, now they're going side by side in the carousel, and that is definitely not the fastest way around. And you can go side by side. It's flat out through the kink here, Bill, but it's a little sketchy. So that was probably the smart thing to do for Ogawa, to just slip back into line.
That blue and yellow car back there, that is Aaron Thacker. Watch out for him. He thinks itchy for his position as he come right at you. We're going to go up front. Canchin, Dam, Hartley in 3rd. Payton, Evan, Mumuludis, and Bertoni.
And while you can see these are all just straight single file, it has gotten very, very side by side and frantic in the group behind them. Ogawa's fighting with John White, and then I believe behind them they've got Garcia and Coimbra still battling.
I believe we're still looking at, there's the second pack, Dad. Look at that car pulling out to the side there. Now we're back to the second pack.
And then we might get 3 wide because Aaron Thacker, no, he's going to give a little bit of a bump draft to Ogawa to the inside. He's hedging his bets that maybe Ogawa will have a little bit of momentum, but unfortunately, it's such a fast corner. There you see it right there. White just puts the power down soon enough, and there's no chance to try and outgun him.
The car at the very front was Jordy Fike. He's pulling away. Then the car, the white and blue car, as I use colors, is always iffy. That is White. Now the car making the move, that is Shigeru Ogawa. Boy, he's being squeezed by White. Careful, boys. White is not leaving him a lot of room.
Yeah, but they've got enough room. It's the cars behind them that I think are probably feeling antsy. Thacker and Holland are watching Fike get away deep onto the brakes for White. Nicely done, but I don't think this battle is over. Wow, that was a little bit of a late defense.
Now it is right on White. Thacker looking on. The other drivers in there, Derek Holland, Ivan Garcia, and Rui Coimbra.
And the reason you're seeing White fight so hard, he started 16th. He's now up to P9 here. So he's gained a lot of spots, and he does not want to give them away.
We'll stay back here on this battle. Nothing going on in the front 7. They continue to race in line. Fike has opened up almost a second on White right now.
This battling is the best thing that Fike could have asked for. His pace is clearly very good, but he's going to be in no man's land pretty soon because he's certainly not going to catch up to Bertoni. So at that point, he's really got to focus and see what he can get out of the car.
As they work through Canada, Ogawa right on White. Now we're going to come up to 14. This is the final corner that leads on to the front straight. I can't imagine that these guys will be in the same order when they get down to the first corner. Let's see. A great exit out of that final corner by Ogawa. He's a half car length back. He moves to the driver's left. That'll be on the outside. Taking the defensive line is White. Thacker laying back.
And there's not a whole lot of braking into this first corner, so you really want to be fully passed. You saw what happened last time if you're on the inside, which is where White is now. So he's going to be on the receiving end potentially. No, Ogawa's going to just slip back in. That might have been the right
move. He lost it. White got loose out of 1. Between 1 and 3, he puts it in the wall. His day is done.
That's such a shame. He's been running a great race, frankly. And even if there was a little bit of contact there, it was not the cause. What happens on the outside of that corner is if you just touch the grass, it's loaded up with such high speeds, it's very easy to spin it out.
So as we look at the mistake that was made.
And Payton is getting in front of Dam right now, by the way. So the action's starting to pick up at the front group. like
we
it's
work
not going to work
lap
out for
number
him.
5. Now on the outside, looking, that's Mumuludas in the white and blue car. Well, let me correct myself. Mumuludas not in the white and blue car.
Yeah, Mumulidis running a green and white scheme for today.
Oh, let's check in on Derek Holland.
Oh, it's not the best of situations here. Kota Miwa is going to lose out the most. It looks like there may have been contact on the way into the carousel. Looks like it started with Ogawa.
I think it's Ogawa. It was Holland on the inside, and Ogawa kind of turns into him. They make contact, and Ogawa spins off.
Looks like Coimbra also got a piece of it there through the hurry downs, and then unfortunately, if we watch this all the way into the entry of the carousel, we had one more car. I think it was Miwa. Just unfortunately, there was 3 wide, and that doesn't really work in that corner, so he wound up in the grass.
As we continue to watch on replay, there goes Miwa off into the Wisconsin countryside. While that goes on, I can just report that Mike Dam just had an easy pass for the lead as he went around the outside of Sunny Canyon. Payton, Mumulidis, Hartley, Evan, and Bertoni.
And if any of our viewers, Bill, are fans of oval racing, the best way to explain this race to them is think of something like Talladega or Daytona. You really, there's not much point in trying to get yourself to the front unless you want to avoid trouble, and that's not as big of a risk here on a road course as it is in the pack racing on super speedways. So what these drivers are doing is just basically trying to get farther into the race to really kind of see how things play out and then start to take action.
Oh. Gets the pass made. Oh, look at this. He gets a little bit loose, having to check up with Dam, and that gave an opportunity for Payton now. Gets to the inside through 6.
I think Dam actually got into the back of him slightly. It looked like there was a little bit of contact, and ooh, this is really bad news. Look at how much of a gap he's pulling because of all the cars side by side, Bill.
Clifford Evan looking in there in that white and black machine on these. That's a great camera shot there.
I think they're going to reel him back in, but that was a scary moment, especially for the drivers at the very back. Bertoni and Evan are really hoping they don't fight too much like this.
So Mumulidis in that green and black car sits in 3rd position. Payton behind him. Then there's Robert Hartley coming at you.
Surprised that they're swapping around as much as they are. Again,
gotta be careful.
If I was Dam, I'd be focused on saving fuel. And I believe we're starting to get into the pit window, are we not?
Yeah, I would think we're there now. It's usually about 1/3 of the way there. You know, we can talk real quick. If we lead that lead train real quick, let's go back and talk about 8th position Fike and Aaron Thacker. Thacker's the guy who survived all the nonsense going on there. Fike was driving away. Thacker's got a chance to catch him. He's only about a second back. And all those other guys ran into trouble. Garcia and Coimbra back in 10th and 11th.
And the reason you don't see Fike backing up to try and get Thacker with him is because Thacker qualified about 3 positions down from Fike. So he's not faster than him. He's really not going to be able to contribute much. So we go back to the leaders.
Going into 1, Mumulidis gets to the inside of Dam. Dam does not argue the point as he's now in 3rd position. They have to be careful not to lose touch with Canyon. He's the pole sitter, probably the fastest of the 7.
Yeah, and though I say, they really don't want to be making too many waves, Dam doesn't want to get plugged up too far back because he wants to be in a good position to try and be able to attack towards the end.
Remember, Hartley is your defending champion. He is the driver sitting in 4th right now. Won the opening round. We haven't seen much of him since then.
Eben just made a move to try and get by Payton. Peyton's really been a big loser in this lately. He's down to 6. Remember, he was up in 2nd momentarily. And that's the sort of thing that Dam is trying to avoid, to get shuffled back like that. Because especially if you find yourself that far back in the pit stops, you could really lose out.
You talk about shuffling, and they all have been shuffling. The only driver who's really been staying in the same spot is Andres Bertoni, who's been back last in line the entire time. Let's go look at this battle for 8th position now.
Great racing by Thacker to run him down.
5.6 seconds between Fike and Bertoni. These guys, now that they've left all of their friends, these guys might be able to do a little dancing and see if they can run up with the guys up front.
Yeah, honestly, well, it depends on if Thacker's been paying attention to who's faster and who's not. Again, since he doesn't have as much pace, if I was Thacker and I wanted to catch up to the front, I wouldn't really try to pass. I would just try and bump draft down the straightaways to get that extra little speed.
They also have the option to short fill a little bit. Maybe put in not even enough fuel to get to the end, but if they can get close enough, maybe they can get in the toe and have them pull along. Look at this battle for 10th. That blue car up in front, that's Coimbra. Goulet back there looking at it, and the third car is Garcia. Garcia's going to take a shot. We have a few drivers making stops. It's the 2 Canadians are coming in. Dam and Payton.
Meanwhile, still side by side, Garcia's got a nose ahead down the front stretch, and he is on the outside. From what we've seen so far, that's really the desirable place. And, interesting. Excuse me, that was Goulet ahead. Garcia backs out of it before they even get to the braking. Two
drivers in there, they get to their stalls okay. Hand back to both of them. Oh, Canada, it's time to make a pit. Now they roll out of the pit lane.
And Peyton looks like he lost out a little bit because he came in so far back. And that's exactly what I was talking about worrying about that. He could still hustle and catch up to Dam. And that could be good news if these two could just have a 2-car swap. This Coimbra and Goulet having a nice little fight still.
Justin gets it, and he can keep. Boy, he's sawing on the wheel. He gets a really weak exit out of 6. The blue car of Coimbra right on him now. Garcia with a run.
These three probably just having fun at this point. They're kind of stuck in the middle. They're not going to catch the cars ahead. Probably not going to be caught by the cars behind. Though it is possible, I guess. Ogawa's about 3 seconds back.
Yeah, let's go in and look at 11th. Ogawa's pretty fast. He qualified in 5th position. Not sure if his car is healthy, but he's back there racing with the bullet train. Yatsuya Shiraiwa and Derek Holland.
So yeah, that's really the only danger in them fighting, is that those three could potentially run them down, but otherwise, at this point in the race, they're probably not going to get a win, so they're just enjoying themselves.
I'll tell you right now, Mike Dam's got to be saying, I hope those guys pit soon, because he's out there all by himself. And Katchen is a smart driver. As we look at the battle going on right there.
Whoa, and why was Mubulidis in the grass there? Just coming up the straight. Oh, I tell you what, Katchen sold him a dummy, and that's slowed him up so much that Hartley is now going to get by.
Hartley on the inside of 1, qualified in 3rd position. About 0.7 of a second back of Katchen. These guys have to be careful not to lose Katchen right now.
Katchen, effectively what he did, another oval move essentially, is he faked coming into the pits. And Mumulidis nearly followed him in. Looks like Holland's pitting now. In fact, he's pitting by himself, so he's got no friends to help him.
Continue to look at the battle up front. A 5-car train. It was 7. Dam and Payton are out. Derek Holland begins to roll.
And I think he might have gotten some of that damage repaired because he was in for a fairly long time compared to Dam and Payton.
Just to give you an idea, it's 41 seconds and a change from Cancian to Dam right now. Dam racing in 17th spot. We look at this battle. This is Coimbra.
Garcia giving chase behind both of them in the popcorn position. Look, from what I've seen of these three, though, Garcia isn't as interested in getting feisty as Coimbra and Goulet have been. So he might just be kind of sitting and watching to see how this works out before he really decides to attack.
Let's drop in on second position real quick. Cancian is beginning to open it up even more. These guys have got to be careful. Right now, it's Hartley out in front. Evan has worked his way up to third. Molinas and again, Bertoni back there, happy to watch everything happen in front of them. Let's see if it's pit stop time this time around as they go down into the final corner. I have a hunch one of these guys is going to make a stop. Cancian is in. One guy has stand out.
Bertoni.
Bertoni, I'm tired of being at the back. I'm going to lead a lap. And indeed he does as he gets to the finish line. Well, actually he didn't. Cancian got there before Bertoni did. Bertoni
no, he got it.
Leading the lap. Yep, Bertoni leads the lap.
No bonus points for that, but it will go on to his iRacing stats that he led a lap.
So where is Dam right now? Well, he's on his way to 14. About a second ahead of Payton.
Sonny just hit his stall now, as did Robert Hartley.
Molinas is in as well. Hartley in his stall. We are looking at Dam. It is a long further. And I'll tell you right now, Cancian was jumped by Hartley. Hartley is out first. Cancian is in second. But here comes with a full head of steam. It's Dam. He's going to get Cancian. I don't think he's going to get to Hartley.
Payton manages to stay with it as well, but unfortunately overshot the first corner. You could see that green, black, and white car that went wide, and that'll send him right back to the tail of the train.
Going through 3. Clifford Evan gets the best of Payton.
The one who really took advantage the most of the situation was Hartley, as we ride on board with Evan looking back. Hartley, I think, was intentionally back there, never taking the lead, just so that he could save fuel, and that's why he jumped him so well.
Cancian goes on the inside of Dam through 5. Dam trying to do the up and under. He's going to back out. I think these guys are all worried now about losing touch with Hartley. That is your defending champion. He was dominating last season. He won the season opener. We have not seen much of him since then. Out in front here again.
So Cancian's in front of him. So do they battle, or do they try to run down Hartley? And as I said before, Hartley is a very fast driver on his own. So if I was Cancian, I'd maybe start working together with those behind me.
Meanwhile, racing for all he's worth is our leader, Andres Bertones. He comes out of corner number 14. It's got to be pit stop time now, as he'll be coming in this time. It's a long way to his stall. So now the guys, that's Hartley, is going to be doing all he can. I imagine Hartley will get him. We'll see if Bertoni can come out at least in contact with the train.
Fike and Thacker also pitting. Lay. Looks like Ogawa. Everybody's in. This is it. This is the end of the road for your fuel.
And of course, Fike and Thacker have been racing next to each other the entire race. Fike was trying to pull away. Thacker's not going to have any of that. Bertoni still in his stall. Cancian is out of the 14th corner now. He's coming to the start-finish line. Bertoni is sitting there. He's going to hear him go by.
And I can report that Cancian is catching Hartley.
Okay, Bertoni is out on track. There goes Hartley. There goes Cancian. Dam goes by. Hey, look at this. Mumilides and Bertoni slots in 5th.
Great job by Bertoni. That one extra lap might have saved him a little bit because he didn't have to put as much fuel in from the saving that we saw from him and kept him with the group. Otherwise, I doubt his single lap pace by himself would be able to keep him with his group.
But now the pressure is on the Canadian Mike Dam in 3rd, as he is about almost a second behind Cancian, who just gets around Hartley now, as Hartley and Cancian are going to do a little bit of dance, a little bit of a Hartley-Cancian waltz as they try to pull away. Dam's going to have none of that, though, as he gets right up on the back of Hartley.
Yeah, I think Dam is close enough that he really doesn't have to worry too much. If anything, there's now starting to be a bit of a gap between Mumilides and Evan. It's nearly a second now.
That's back 3rd cars there. Evan, Bertoni, and Payton. I want to drop into 8th position real quick. This is the battle we've been watching. Fike and Thacker, will they come out close enough where I think that's going to continue to the end? Thacker's in drafting distance. Behind them, it's a 2-car battle with Goulet and Coimbra for 10th.
Now,
right on board with that.
What happened to Garcia? Garcia had a regular pit stop. He must have had a spin or something somewhere. I'm checking real quick to see if he had some problems, because Garcia was fighting with him and he's gone. Take a look at the battle between Evan and Bertoni down into Canada corner. Evan's going to hold him off, and I'm starting to wonder if Payton and Bertoni might want to try and get past him so that they don't lose touch with the leaders.
About 0.8 of a second between 4th and 5th right now. Out of the last corner on the track, it is Sonny Cancian, partly about 2 car lengths back. I'm not sure if Robert actually wants to lead or not. It's a bit of a gap back to Dam and Mumilides. Here comes Hartley. He has some momentum. No, I think he's just going to get back, maybe even give a little bit of a bump here.
Okay, he's trying to give a gentle bump. And that's something we haven't talked about yet, is the car contact between them. I said you can try and use the bump draft to get a little bit of extra speed, but you don't want to hit them too hard, because we've seen in the past, Bill, you can actually be disqualified if you have too many hard car contacts by doing that bump drafting.
Yeah, we've seen actually it was Robert Hartley who had to surrender a spot from the lead to the back of the train because too many people were bump drafting him and he was picking up incident points that were none of his doing. Pass back for 3rd position. The Greek Streak in that black and green machine, side by side with Dam. He'll have the preferred position into 5. I think he's going to get this done. Dam will get a nice drive-through, though, with the wide entry. Into 6, I think Dam's going to wait.
Look how close he's willing to ride behind him, though. That's one thing that amazes me about these drivers at the top level of the MX-5s. They are not afraid to get right up next to each other.
Evan back in 5th, doing his very best to get up to Dam now, almost 0.8 of a second. All these 7 drivers want to win this thing. You can't win it from 7th, though. Maybe you can win it from 4th, so there's going to be you're going to see people have a little change of attitude as we get closer to the end. With the pit stops out of the way, gives us an opportunity to go through one of our favorite segments, Joe, and that's going to be Trip and Dree's back marker shout out. We have some guys to talk about this round.
Yes, we do. Let's start with 18th place, Ivan Garcia. He started in 14th, and something mysterious happened. We're going to have to try and investigate in the pit stops or during the pit cycle that sent him all the way down to last place and 23 seconds behind. So it was something big. Ahead of him in 17th is Thomas Miller, who was just about where he started. So this has not really been anything to write home about for the number 5 machine. Probably going to be losing some I rating today. Lee Martin is in 16th position. Similar situation, except he's got a battle on his hands. That's Greg Savoy that you see with him there. attempting to swap back and forth as they go side by side down into Canada corner. Greg's way late on the brakes, too late on the brakes, I think, maybe, potentially. And to the inside, looks like Lee Martin going to get himself up to 15th now. So let's go up to 14th, Chiquito Ogawa. This is a driver who has certainly lost out in all the frantic action we've had. We saw him farther up in the pack, and he was one of the victims of the craziness that was happening down in turn 8 and the carousel. That sent him down to 14th. Derek Holland is ahead of him in P13, basically running in a tandem right now. He's just behind Yasuta Shiraiwa, who sits in P12, started 15th, up a couple spots for the number 6. Ahead of them in 11th, and we'll end here with Rui Coimbra, who started 13th. He's into 11th. He's had a lot of action today, and he's one less car in this battle that he's fighting with Goulet. That is our Trip and Drees back marker shout-out. Bill?
Absolutely nothing happening up front. It's Hartley and Canton leading right now, but we can say that Clifford Evan did what he needed to do as he got himself into the train. Payton gets around, Payton in a fight there with Bertoni. Bertoni sitting back there watching from his familiar position of 7th.
Payton's now the one that's starting to lose track. Leadis and Dam are fighting in front of them, and that is good news for those behind, because that could allow them a bit of a lily pad to leapfrog and get up to the top drivers. But it could also backfire. If they lose too much touch with the top drivers, then that'll leave it down to those two up at the front.
Through the kink, Mumalitis was very close to Kanchan last time. Kanchan now jumps around Hartley. They continue to swap as they try to make it a two-car battle. Mumalitis does a good job down into Canada. He is there. Boy, that draft is really efficient.
It just plays such a huge part in this style of racing. Go ahead, Bill.
Let's stay on this through all the way down into corner number 1, see how this plays out, see who wants the lead with just over 11 minutes to go.
Also kind of curious to see if anybody's going to start trying testing the waters to see how much the slingshot is worth up to the line, to see if you can get tricky and make a last lap snipe.
Now, see, this is not good side by side as it's taken Dam a long time to get this pass made. As they were side by side for a long time, they're going to lose a little touch. Now it's going to be fine. He's going to hang on to the back of Hartley.
Yeah, his saving grace was that Hartley and Kanchan both took to the inside, which was where Dam was. So that's why he suddenly shot forward and ran them down, because they started pushing a hole in the air for him.
Surprisingly, Joe, as much as we talk about how the draft plays an effect, though, the guys up front, we really only see Kanchan, Hartley, and Dam. I guess Payton was up there making some noise every once in a while. We haven't seen Mudaludis get too far up there.
They've still got time to try and make those moves to get in the game. Essentially, you want to try and be within the top 4 with 2 laps to go, I'd say, which is what we're seeing right here.
That was Mumalides and Dam almost got together. Mumalides was on the inside through the action corner of 5. But again, I think Dam Mumalides was trying to think, I think I might be listening to Soup. I might want to get up here, see if I can get to the front.
The other interesting thing, Bill, is the temperature's gone up significantly since the start of the race. It is now 79 degrees on the track surface. So it's not steaming hot, but it is hotter. And some drivers are really particular about the setup and how it works with the temperature. So I'm wondering if any of them are not liking the fact that it's changed so drastically.
We're right on board with the driver in 4th. We're looking up ahead at Dam. It's about 6 or 7 car lengths right now. He may have more to worry about from his rear view mirror as Evan with the run about 2 car lengths back. Clifford doesn't seem to want to play right now. Down into Canada.
Kind of don't blame him. It doesn't seem like Clifford's really been able to do much on them, so there's no point in him trying to do something quite yet. I'd say 1 or 2 more laps, and then if I was Clifford, start making some aggressive moves.
Through 14 again. I'll just report, we don't need to go there. Fike has opened up a little bit of the gap on Thacker. That's the next 2 cars after the front 7. We'll check in on them in a minute. Let's see how this plays out down the front straight. The defensive line from Cancian. Hartley with a run. He's going to go side by side to the outside this time. Dam is going to tuck in behind Hartley. Maybe think he's going to follow him around the outside and they can both get Cancian. That may happen.
Important to note that Hartley did not cross the line before Cancian did. So if he tries that trick, he's going to have to get a better run than that.
That's a really good point. I think it's going to be hard pressed for anybody to make us snipe the win out of 14, even though that finish line is so far down. Mumuludis waits in 4th.
I think the decisive move is going to be made into Canada corner, if I'm honest.
And then play defense from there. Payton really aggressive on the back of Evan right now. You can see those are cars 5 and 6 in line as the leaders go by.
Watch from Payton's perspective.
Things beginning to heat up a bit. It is a 6-car train behind Hartley. But man, that train, they are really close together now. They realize the clock is ticking. Drivers who are back in 5th, 6th, and 7th know they need to pick up at least a couple positions to have a shot to win on this. They can't wait too long.
Absolutely. And some of them might not even be thinking win. Some of them might just be thinking podium at this point, or top 5. It all depends on how much confidence they have in their own abilities or their own chicanery in trying to get the lead away from these top drivers who, frankly, probably know every trick in the book by this point.
Into Canada. All racing line, no pass that time.
And that's another point worth considering too, is how many of these drivers that we know are familiar with this type of racing, this actually almost exact situation, since this is the same as the MWT. Hartley, we know. Cancian, we know as well, has raced there many years, both of them with plenty of experience in this format. Jordy Fike, who unfortunately isn't in this top group, is very, very experienced with this format, and that's something to remember.
They come over the hill like this, and they go side by side for the lead. I will just report that Coimbra this got around Goulet, moving up into the top 10. Oh my, but look what's going on now. Out in front, that's Cancian. Tucking in second is Hartley. Dam in 3rd. All that side by side racing, no passing done.
Yeah, but Payton is now trying to get his way past Evan. I think he's starting to feel the pressure to try and perform. And they are starting to lose out slightly because of that side-by-side battling down into turn 1.
Payton, the fastest of the qualifiers in that back set of the group there. He qualified 4th. Evan qualified 8th. And a little bit of lift there. So yeah, Joe, now we have to worry. It might be a 4-car breakaway. Evan wants none of that, though, Soup. I'm going to hang in here. I'm on the back, Mumuludis. Don't worry about me.
Yeah, he had great braking down into 5. Pretty much saved his bacon. What was nearly over a second is now down to half a second.
Leaders go through hurry downs. Into the left-hander, that is 8, and now they'll turn down into the carousel. Evan goes a little wide.
They've been doing an incredible job keeping this big of a pack. Typically, Bill, in the past we've seen that it dwindles down and eventually is maybe 3 or 4 cars for the victory. 7 of them still with a shot is impressive and tells a lot about the maturity of these drivers.
Behind these guys, there are 3 tandems of drivers. It is Fike and Thacker in a little battle for 8th. As we look at our leaders here, I'll just tell you what's going on. Here's a little move.
Yep, this is Dam and Moulidis going side by side. This allows Evan actually in the mix. He's trying to get himself up to 4th, and he might just be able to do it if he could just get the grip off the corner.
It's gonna a little help from Dam right now. It depends what type of racing line Dam takes, and who's going to be able to get in the draft. They're too far ahead. It looks like Moulidis has a little momentum out of 14. And that boy, Clifford's car just won't go. Evan's going to have to tuck in behind. That's going to leave an opportunity for Peyton. Peyton dying to get up there and race. He says, I'm fast enough, I can just get up there.
Moulidis left a car's width on the outside of the track for Evan and maybe a blade of grass on either side of the car. That was tight.
So now they go down into 3. 4 is nothing. 5 is the left-hander that's coming up. You might see somebody dive it in deep. Just under 3 minutes of racing go. To finish my point, there are 3 tandem battles behind that will follow on the last lap. It's Fike and Thacker, Goulet and Coimbra has a battle, and Shira Iwa and Holland in a battle. We'll check in on that as there is a pass now as Dam moves up into 2nd around Hartley.
And
that's
it's like
an
I said,
important one.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier. This is when you can expect all these different passes because everybody's trying to position themselves. Before, it was very calm chess. Now it is speed chess. You gotta hustle and you gotta make things decisive. You can't fiddle around racing side by side. We've seen multiple times that starts to lose you time on the leaders, and then you have to spend a straight or 2 trying to run them down again.
They'll be getting the white flag next time around. So if your favorite passing zone is Canada, you'll have 2 more bites of that apple.
Wouldn't it be a bite of a waffle or a pancake?
Canadian apple. They have apples up there. Through the cake. Hey, I think Dam has visions of the lead here. He's about a car length back.
Does he want to pull that trigger yet?
Yeah. I got to think if you get an opportunity to get ahead of Sonny Catchin, you probably want to take it. They all work through Canada safe and sound. Again, the caboose is Bertoni. He led a lap. Came out after the pit stop in 5th.
So I'm going to predict, Bill, that come the run from the carousel to Canada Corner, we're going to be down to 3 cars because this is where it'll all erupt.
I was just going to say the same thing. So often we see a 7-car train, little by little it thins out throughout the race. That has not been the case. Catching out with a substantial lead. Got to be careful. Making a move on the outside for 3rd position. That is Moumoulides on the outside of Hartley. Oh, I think he's going to get it done easily. The Greek driver tucks into 3rd position as they go through 1.
Yeah, I think Hartley's losing out. He played his cards way too soon, and now everybody else is able to slipstream by.
If Catchin had any cards, he was holding cards close to the vest. He's played them now as he's opened up about a 5-car length lead. He'll be under no attack going into 5.
Yeah, and this is the danger with trying to play cute and use the draft to play games like this, is you can lose out to someone who just, like you said, has been just kind of playing possum a bit out here.
Moulidis gets another position done, so that's 2 this lap as he goes around the inside of Dam. Hartley under attack now from Evan.
I'm impressed they haven't lost anybody yet in all of this.
Moumoulides has passed 2 cars and is now trying to run down Catchin. It's about 5 car lengths. He's got to be perfect. Into 8. I agree, Joe. 7-car train the entire race. We have not lost one of them.
But look at how far ahead Sonny is. I think it's already lights out unless Moumoulides gets an almighty run here. I just don't think he can run this down in time.
Boy, when it was time to go racing, Catchin said, it's time to go racing. Through the cake with about a 10-car length lead. Actually, nobody close enough to make a pass right now as they all seem to be locked into position. Down into Canada for the final time. It's the Australian Sonny Kanchan. It's the Greek driver of Ioannis Moumilidis behind him. The Canadian Mike Dam. Robert Hartley, the American driver. Clifford Evan, David Payton, and Andres Bertoni. Hey, there's a pass. Evan moves up into fourth. Hartley continues to fall. I think he's out of fuel.
Oh, no.
Meanwhile, our leader has finished the final corner. Nothing but him and the finish line. Heading towards the win is going to be Sonny Kanchan. He picks up his third of the season. Moumilidis will get second. Evan third. Payton fourth. Bertoni fifth. Dam will get sixth. Hartley is trying to get the car across.
He's got it. He's across.
Did he get there? Okay.
Yes.
Fike beats Thacker. Let's go back and look at 10th position. This is Shiro Iwa holding off Goulet, and now in the midst is Derek Holland as they come down. This is a battle for what will be 12th position.
Goulet, really mover of the race, started 20th, and he's going to be finishing 11th here.
Coimbra will end up in 13th as we have 18 cars on the lead lap. There might be a battle back here as they come across for what will be 15th position. Martin, Savoy, and Miller. And those are all the cars on the lead lap. The racing is over here in Wisconsin, but our broadcast is far from done. What we're going to do right now is take a short break, but don't go far. We will be back to run down the finishing order and then, of course, announce this round's queen of the ball. Talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Stay close. You're watching GSRC on IESN. Streaming cyberspace into your place via the iRacing Esports Network. This is the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of the Advanced Mazda Cup Straight the Field event, Round 6 from Road America. Let's give you the results right now. I'll get the top 10. We'll leave the other guys for Joe. Sonny Kanchan started on the pole. did not go wire to wire, but he gets his third win of the season. Ioannis Moumilidis, the Greek streak, is coming home in second as he picks up 4 spots. Clifford Evan with a great run, qualified 8th. He'll get that final podium spot ahead of David Payton. Andres Bertoni, we're going to talk a little bit more about him in a minute. He gets 5th. Mike Dam and Robert Hartley go 6th and 7th. Hartley ran out of fuel on the last lap. We watched the battle between George Fike and Aaron Thacker. Fike got the best of that one. Thacker will have to settle for 9th. Rounding out your top 10, Yasura Shiraiwa, the Bullet Train. Joe?
Mentioned it before, 11th for Justin Goulet, even though he started 20th on the grid. Derek Holland finishes 12th with Rui Coimbra, exactly where he started in 13th. Chiquito Ogawa unfortunately got the worst of things, coming in 14th despite being on the third row. Lee Martin finishes P15 and Greg Savoy 16th. Thomas Miller going to be the last car to finish this race in 17th, at least on the lead lap. Looks like Ivan Garcia did get to the checkered flag, but he was a lap down 18th. Kota Miwa and John White 19th and 20th with a DNF each today. Bill?
And now, before driver interviews, it's time for the fan favorite segment, Queen of the Ball. What does it take to be Queen of the Ball? Well, that's undefinable. We know it when we see it. The award salutes Queenie, a fan and supporter of the series and this broadcast. Today's Queen of the Ball, well, it's going to go to Andres Bertoni, who stayed out there to lead a couple laps. And when the pit stop cycle was done, he cycled right back into 5th position, fell back to 7th. But when Dam and Hartley ran into trouble, he picks up a top 5. So Queen of the Ball today to Andres Bertoni. And now it's time for interviews. I'm going to turn it over to Joe. Joe, who you get to talk to?
I get to talk to our winner, Sonny Canchin, who you have to admit really ran just about a perfect race up there. Sonny, it almost looked like you were sandbagging a little bit, because as soon as that last lap happened, it was like you were off like a shot.
Hi, Jay. Yeah. I didn't even check who's going to be behind me, how far. I just went pedal to the floor, just went for it. I didn't even check who's. So I'm glad I made it home. But I just realized Rob and Mike didn't finish in the top. I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, Rob ran out of fuel in the last corner, unfortunately, and sputtered across the line. I'm not sure what happened to Mike Dam. I think a lot of drivers were battling at the end. But you had a little bit of battling in the middle of the race for yourself. You were swapping back and forth a couple times, but it seemed like you really wanted to be in the lead. Is that accurate?
Yes, as I wanted to be, because I didn't want to mess up my fuel numbers. I didn't want to put in much thought into when I went into the pits, and I know if I do it clean up front and right on target, and if I nail my pit stop, I know exactly how much fuel I would need to finish the race. So that's just exactly what happened.
Well, this has been a track that has shown up on a lot of racing series, and this specific format has happened in the MWT a fair few times. How much does that experience really help you around here? Do you feel like this is a track that rewards drivers that have a lot of laps here?
Oh, that's a great question. I was just thinking about that, just looking back at the race. I was there were moments here and there. There's a bit of argy-barginess. The guys besides Rob and Mike who know exactly, when to pass and when to not, that counts a lot. Otherwise, you can easily, there was a mistake made by a few who were inexperienced, then you'd easily lose time to the guy who'd front. So it's basically side by side into the corners and where you exactly want to pass. All of that counts, and that's exactly happened a couple of times. So I'm pretty sure a few of us were annoyed at that, but I think it's racing, and I think we were there too at the time. And eventually, if you look back at the race again and a few more laps and races ahead, you'd know exactly what to do, not to do, and that really counts. Experience really counts.
Nothing replaces your butt in the seat, I suppose. That's Sonny Canchin. Thanks for talking to us, and congratulations on the win.
Thanks, Joe. I can't wait to see the broadcast. And thanks to iRacing, everyone watching too, and everyone in the race. Congratulations.
Bill?
I'm going to get to talk to Ioannis Moumilidis, the Greek streak. Ioannis, congratulations on the second place finish. Let's talk about the last lap. You went into it in 4th. You were able to get both those drivers before you were done. We're talking about Dam and Hartley.
I sensed an opportunity and I had to take it. That last lap, that last lap was absolutely elbows out, and well, it paid off in the end, didn't it?
It did indeed. Joe and I talked about it during the broadcast. So often during these draft tracks, we get a train of maybe breaks down to 7 cars, and then throughout the race, it turns into 5, turns into 4, turns into 3. By the time we're looking at a 2-car battle at the end, that wasn't the case this time. It was 7 drivers in that train from lap 1 to the very last lap.
Oh yeah, we all did a great job. Mike did a great job, and you saw the fights between me and Mike. The side-by-side actions where I ended up putting a dive in, and he sticked it around the outside and just made it work. And Sonny, awesome as always. Robert didn't have his best week, and I heard he ran out of fuel in the end, as well as Mike, which is a real shame. I've noticed that instead of 2 gallons on this track, you need 2.2 or something like that. So you have to manually adjust it in the pits, and that's not everyone knows that. I found out about it the hard way. And yeah, definitely. We all did a great job, and we managed to keep that 7-car train up, especially Clifford behind me. He worked great until the end, and we definitely didn't hold back, so we didn't give any other driver any room.
You're second in the points. You did fall behind. You finished behind Kanchan again. Eventually, you're going to have to beat him to get the championship, but you stay close enough to keep the pressure on him, so good luck the rest of the way.
About that, next week's Nordschleife. That's my home track, so
okay.
I'm looking forward to getting a win there.
Okay. Congratulations on second place today.
Thanks.
Ionas Moumoulidis, of course, Greek heritage, but he's racing out of Germany, so the ring is where he belongs. Joe?
And I get to talk to Clifford Evan, who I think snatched a brilliant 3rd place. Cliff, we watched you kind of hang out in the middle and towards the back of that lead pack. Was it a struggle to try to stay with them? It looked a little scary a couple times.
Yeah, it was definitely really, really tough to keep with them. And I was sitting maybe 0.6 or 0.7 back, and it was just a little too far back to ever get enough of a run to make a pass. And then you also got to think about the bigger picture and making a smart pass that doesn't cost you enough time. So I pretty much stayed put where I was. David Payton was right behind me the whole race. I was able to just barely hold them off.
So your qualifying pace was 8th. Is that where you think you would have wound up had it not been for the draft train today, if you would have lost touch with the group?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. These guys are so fast, and the draft really kept me in it. It's easily worth a lot of time here, so I just hung on with the draft, and it allowed me to run some pretty fast laps following them, but without it, I definitely would have been down there in 8th, or probably worse.
As Soot mentioned, next week we've got the ring. Do you have a lot of experience there? Because obviously that's one of the few courses where road drivers have to worry about memorizing the track.
I don't have much experience there. I'm not actually going to be racing that one because I race on a laptop, and I just simply cannot run that track. It doesn't work. I just lag really bad, and so that's going to be a drop race for me.
It's a real shame. Oh, hopefully we can get you a regular PC at some point, because that track is a fantastic experience. Congratulations on a podium. Like I said, you really wowed me with that one.
Thanks, guys.
Clifford Evan, P3, last spot on the podium. Bill, back to you.
Well, if we knew Clifford wasn't going to race next week, the Queen of the Ball Committee might have given him the award, but nope, it's going to stay with Bertoni because that's how the rules apply. GSRC would like to thank everybody in the Advanced Mazda Cup community, especially Jordy Fike, for supporting this broadcast. On screen now are just some of the equipment and software used to stream cyberspace into your place. And there's the little Queen of the Ball that went to Bertoni. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provide us our iconic music. See the screen to how to get a hold of more of her great work. The Advanced Mazda Cup returns, that's right, you know it, 7 days, 1 week. That's going to be 4-lap affair at the Going Through the Woods at the Nürburgring. GSRC via ISN will bring you all the action. Hey, you want to know what's up next for ISN? Well, that's going to be GSRC's coverage of tomorrow's Grand Prix Legends, Round 6. You know, Joe talked about chicanery. You want some chicanery? Go to Zolder's. Lots of chicanes there. My partner, Joe Peak and Nick Schmink, scheduled to bring you all the action. Going live tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Sliding across your screen right now some of the upcoming broadcasts on GSRC. So check those out and mark them down on your calendar. You want more information about us? Global SimRacing Channel, Twitter, GSR Channel, Facebook, Global SimRacing Channel, Instagram at GSRC_gram. Also, if you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber by heading over to our YouTube page and hitting that big red button. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, that would be Joe, Sean, and Doug, he'd like to thank all of you for watching as we watch Sonny Ketchen pick up his third win of the season here for round 6 at Road America as we wrap up the first half of the season. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.